What is going on, guys? DragonTamerBlayde here, back with some more Houses of Morrowind news. We got a whole lot to cover today. Stuff's been popping off. The first thing that I wanted to announce, it's a little bit of unfortunate news, but it's completely cool with me. The release of Houses of Morrowind, it was originally scheduled to be right here, March 29th. It has been delayed till April 5th, so we're going to have to wait about an extra week. But there's no worries about that. I mean, I'd rather them take a couple extra days and get everything right. This set's going to be crazy, so extra week isn't so bad. Plus, there'll be a streamer preview where you guys will get to see the full set, I think, a couple days before launch. So, it is delayed, but we also got other good news today. We got bad news with the delay, but good news that alongside Houses of Morrowind's pack expansion, we're getting something called puzzle sets. So if you played through the Return to Clockwork City or watched Return to Clockwork City, the memory stars, those super cool puzzles that we had as part of the story, we're getting like it's almost like a mini expansion of just puzzles. So if we go through this announcement, you see here we get 3 sets of 10 puzzles each, and they'll be on sale for $10 for each set. So $30 for 30 puzzles, or you could buy them for 1,500 gold each. And each 10 puzzle set you complete will get you 5 packs, which I think is around $10 worth of value anyway. And you'll get 100 soul gems, so 10 soul gems per completed puzzle, and a card back unique to each puzzle set. So for $30, you get 15 packs, 300 soul gems, 3 card backs, and you get to play through 30 puzzles, which is pretty cool, I think. And then we've also got new cards to go over, and I'm going to talk over, I guess, what I think about all the cards. So the first one that we might as well talk about is this one that got revealed with the puzzle sets, Caius Cosades. I don't really know how to pronounce it. Again, I'm going to butcher these names, so forgive me. But it's a 4-cost 3/4 unique legendary in Endurance with the summon effect. Look at 2 of your opponent's cards. Guess the one that's in their hand. If you're right, give all creatures in your hand +1/+1. So we've already seen a little bit of hand buffing with the new rally mechanic. So this is a different take on hand buffing, and I think it's pretty cool. It's kind of similar to Thief of Dreams, where you had to guess what your opponent has in their hand. But in this case, instead of gaining a copy of the card, you get to buff your entire hand. So this is pretty cool. There's a whole lot of cards. Obviously, since Rally is a new mechanic, there's a whole lot of cards that can really benefit from getting buffed. And cards just in general benefit from getting buffed. But there's one particular card I have in mind that we'll get to later in the video. But giving your whole hand +1/+1, as long as you have at least 1 or 2 creatures in your hand, this guy being slightly understated for his cost becomes completely worth it. And I think it's a pretty cool card. Unique mechanic we haven't seen. We've had something similar, but nothing quite like this before. And I'm excited to give it a shot. So let's go and take a look at some other cards that have been revealed so far. First one we got right here. This was revealed by Justin Larson and Charmer on the Fun and Interactive podcast the other day. We have another unique legendary, Sun and Shadow. This is a House Telvanni legendary. A 5-cost 4/6, so the stats are pretty decent for the cost. It's fair. And with the effect, permanently shackle another friendly creature to draw an action of your choice from your deck. So it's kind of like Laneth, where you get to draw any card you want. But this one is obviously almost half the cost, and it only applies to actions, so it's a little bit more limited. And you also have to pay the cost of permanently shackling another friendly creature. So I don't know if that effect gets canceled if Sun and Shadow is dropped on an empty board. But there's so many other things that you could shackle. Friendly guards, maybe tokens that you wouldn't be attacking with anyway. Shackling a friendly creature isn't the worst cost, especially when you get to draw whatever you want from your deck. So I think this is going to be a very powerful card. One of the ones that I'm excited to try out. There's been so many really cool, unique new cards coming in this expansion. So you're going to hear me say unique and really cool, and I'm going to try and change up my words, but I really don't know what else to describe it as besides like awesome. So that's the first card we're going to go over. Next one, I already went over that, the Moratong Aspirant. Here we have Cliff Racer Onslaught. It was revealed on stream by Ian Bits the other day. It's a 9-cost action. Summon a 4/4 Cliff Racer with charge in each lane. And your opponent summons a 0/1 target with guard in each lane. So at first glance, it kind of seems counterproductive, because you get 2 Cliff Racers in each lane, 1 in each lane. So you're getting 10 magicka worth of creatures for 9, which is pretty solid. And you're dropping 2 chargers on the board for 1 card, which is solid. But then you're kind of dropping 2 targets to contest them, so they can't just go face. So this card kind of relies on you having at least 1 creature that can attack in each lane before dropping this. So it's kind of a limited card, but I think it's one that has potential to be pretty nuts. If you are running a Slay type deck, you get to drop 2 guards, or 2 targets to use for Slay effects, and then on top of that you get 4/4 chargers on top of it. So I don't think this card will see a ton of play, but I think there could be some cheeky decks that figure it out, or decks that have things like -1/-1 effects, like obviously in agility you got curse effects, so it's going to be tough to make use, but it's a very powerful card if you can get around those guards. Let's see what we got going on next. We've already talked about the Archcannon, we've already talked about Vivek. The Ebenheart Oracle, did we talk about this? We have not. So the 5 cost 3/5, so a little bit understated for the cost, but it does have Drain, which already makes it, I think, pretty close to worth the cost. And then the crazy thing is, it has the ability double the amount of health you gain. So it's a legendary, non-unique though, so you can run 3 of these things. So even unbuffed, if you swing for 3, you gain 6 health. And then on top of that, which is pretty cool, you can combo that with things like Ring of Namira, and then you're healing for 6 and dealing 6 to the face with 1 swing, which is crazy. And the other thing that I'm curious about is if I have multiple oracles on the board, do they stack? Because it doesn't say double the amount of health you gain from swinging with this creature. So, if I have 2 oracles, does that mean I heal for 12 damage? I don't know if it mentions that. Does not mention if it doubles. Yeah, it doesn't mention if they stack, so it's something I'm curious about. And it could be pretty bonkers if it does. And then in this article, they revealed another card, the Ascendant Sleeper. I think this is House Dagoth, or Dagoth. 6 cost 3/6 with guard, so again, it's okay for stats. But at the end of your turn, if you have a creature with 5 power or more, reduce the cost of all creatures in your hand by 1. So by turn 6, having a creature with 5 power on the board is not that difficult. And this ability, even if it procs once, is pretty awesome. Cost reduction is pretty rare in this game, so anytime you have a chance to do it, it's incredibly powerful. And being able to do it to your entire hand if it's all creatures, absolutely nuts card. This is going to be, I guess, I don't know. I was going to say it could be very good in an aggressive deck, but usually on turn 6, you're not going to want to drop a card that does nothing right away. But being able to reduce the cost of creatures in your hand could set up other OTKs or other combos that previously were inaccessible. So I'm curious to see how people use this card. Let's get back to the list. I don't think we looked at the Ionday Clan Sorceress yet. No, we have not. So this was revealed by Yum Yum, and I guess it was the subreddit's reveal as a whole. But it's a 3 cost 4/3, so already pretty solid for the stats. If you look at something similar like Elder Gleam Matron's a 3 cost 4/2, yeah, you draw an animal, but this creature has 1 more health. And at the end of your turn, if 3 or more creatures died, put a random blood magic spell in your hand. Key to this creature's effect is it doesn't have to be your creatures. So you could just wipe out 3 of your opponent's creatures, drop this down, like let's say on turn 9 or whatever, I'm just throwing out an example, but cast Ice Storm and then you drop the Clan Sorcerer after, you're getting a blood magic spell. And the crazy thing about the effect is we know all blood magic spells are good. If arguably the worst one at times is Drain Life, which is 5 damage, 5 health, or Corpse Curse and shackling a whole lane for 2, like they're awesome. They are insane effects. So even if this card is a good enough 3-drop on its own without the effect, but with the effect, I think it just becomes a crazy card, and that's a really, really good legendary. Super, super good card. Moving on, I showed this off on stream. I don't think we had fully talked about it yet. But the Morag Tong Nightblade. It's a 4 cost 3/4 Dark Elf. I think actually I might have talked about it in my card review, but we'll go over it real quick again. It's got a 3/4 stat line, so not amazing for the cost, but the ability is amazing. Summon a 0/1 target with guard for your opponent, so more target summoning, with its own slay effect of draw a card, and if it's an action, reduce its cost to 0. This is a ridiculous card. Anytime you're getting something for 0, just think, that means you can get a 0 cost Dawn's Wrath, 0 cost Unstoppable Rage, 0 cost Journey. So many crazy cards you can get for 0 with this card. I love seeing Slay Synergy. I think it's my favorite mechanic in the game is Slay effects, so I am on board for all Slay effects. So super excited about this card. Then we got Inspiring Kinsman. It's a 4 cost 2/4. Another tricolor card with Rally. I think it's supposed to have Rally 2. So every time this card attacks, it'll give a random creature in your hand +2/+2. And it also has the Last Gasp effect of give a random creature in hand +2/+2. So I think even if this card gets played and just dies right away, the 2/4 body plus the 2/2 buff is almost good enough. I think the key is getting one swing off with this creature, and then it becomes very, very good value. But like I said, even if it does nothing and just dies, it's almost good enough value. Not quite, but almost. It can get answered by Execute, but again, your opponent's going to cost or use a card answering this creature, and then you still get to buff something in your hand. So, interesting card, and it's one that I think usually you don't see. I guess you could have like a kind of aggro hybrid of Crusader Warrior. There's something there. I'm sure somebody will figure that one out. What else haven't we looked at yet? Haunted Manor I don't think we've looked at. Fallen Wizard we have not. I think we've looked at almost everything else. So now it's just going to be what's left in the browser. So here's another card that was revealed by Charmer and Justin on the Fun and Interactive podcast. The Mud Crab Merchant, a 1 cost 1/3 with a summon effect. The crab will show you 2 cards. You choose one to keep, and your opponent gets the other one. So this is a obviously pretty big random effect. It can range anything from both cards being garbage, and you and your opponent both get a bad card, to obviously 1-1, or if it winds up high rolling both cards, you're giving your opponent a good card as well at times. So, I mean, the card I think is more fun than anything. I don't think it'll be a super competitive card, but if you can quickly identify what your opponent is, I think you have some powerful information. So let's say at the moment, the only mage deck you ever see is Control Mage, and I see Wood Orc Headhunter and something else that benefits my deck. I can give that Control Mage Wood Orc Headhunter without really worrying about it, even though Wood Orc Headhunter is an excellent card. If you know for an almost fact what your opponent is playing, you have some power when making the decision. So I don't think it's a completely like RNG meme card. There's some power to it with how well you know your deck as well as how well you can infer what your opponent is playing. But it won't be the most consistent card, but it's definitely going to be a super fun card to play. Then we had Stolen Pants, revealed by Sotzimag, or High King Emmerich, if you know him on YouTube. This is a very funny card. It's a 2-cost item, gives +1/+1 to a creature, and on summon, summons a 0/1 Sheepish Dunmer. Sorry, I lost my English. In the other lane, with the Last Gasp effect, give the Sheepish Dunmer his pants. So this guy has the effect, he has cover, and while he doesn't have his pants, he cannot lose cover at the end of your turn. So, you're getting a 1/1 buff and a tiny body that you can then buff separately. And he doesn't lose cover, or you can just kind of sit there forever until the creature that you put the Stolen Pants on dies. I don't know if the card is mostly meant to be a joke. I think that someone could probably find something cool to do with buffing the Sheepish Dunmer. I don't know. But I think it's a pretty flavorful card. Even not having played Morrowind, I think this is a pretty cool concept. But I'm sure that people who played Morrowind can appreciate it much more than I can. Next, we have Fallen Wizard. This was revealed by Racy Games with Agile. A 2-cost 5/5, which first glance you're like, holy crap, that's amazing. But he has a summon effect of deals 5 damage to himself. I don't know if we actually ever went over this card or not, but I'll talk about it real quick. Anyway, his Last Gasp draws him one of J'zargo Scrolls. But basically, if you ever want to get value out of this 5 attack, you have to either buff this creature in your hand, which we've seen many different ways of doing so. Have something like Lion Guard Strategist, give it ward as soon as it hits the board. High roll with Mundus Stone. I mean, there's ways to make this creature survive. If you have Lion Guard Strategist, it's crazy because you get a 2-cost 5/5. But obviously, there's some setup involved with this creature. The scrolls are super inconsistent. You can't really count on them. But if you can find a way to make this guy survive, it's a crazy, crazy card. Next, we've got Haunted Manor, which is, I think, the first support we've seen so far. And it gives the second creature you summon each turn +2/+2. So I think this would be a super friendly card for aggro players. And it's in colors that kind of are somewhat geared towards aggro. So you have to be able to play multiple cards per turn for this card to really shine. But, like the example mentions, you can drop a 3/3 Nord Firebrand for 0. Or, let's say, drop a 2 power or 2-cost Orc, and then your Wood Orc Headhunter is a 7/6 for 5 instead. So I think this is a really good support. I think it's better than Northwind Outpost for the most part. Northwind Outpost is more consistent and it affects all your creatures, but you're not always playing more than 2 creatures per turn. So I think this may show to be the better card over time. I think aggro is going to love this card. Next, we have, I think, the card that I might be one of the most excited for. The Odurnarian, I don't know, Necromancer, 6-cost 3/3. With the summon effect, summon a creature from your discard pile with power less than this creature's. So, on the surface, you're getting a creature with 2, 1, or 0 power, which is okay. It's not great. But, with all the different ways we have of hand buffing, if you can get this guy's attack high enough, you could summon something like a Blood Magic Lord from your discard pile. And I think the way the summon effect is worded, you get to choose which creature you summon. So at the worst, you can get like Lucian the Chance back from your discard pile. Or if you've dumped a bunch of cards into your discard pile and you've buffed this guy a little bit, you can pull something crazy out. So more discard synergy or more graveyard synergy is another one of my favorite things. So Slay and Graveyard are 2 of my favorite mechanics in the game. And I'm getting support for both of them. So I can't wait to give this card a shot. Some kind of like hand buffing Slay Scout, Graveyard Scout kind of thing. I don't know. But I'm super excited to give this card a shot. It's one of my favorites so far. Next up, we've got the Telvanni Catspaw. This was revealed on stream today by CVH, and I don't know if Pete was there or not. I didn't get to make it out to the stream. But it's a House Telvanni card. It's a 3-cost 2/2, which is okay. With the last gasp of draw a card. Or, if Telvanni Catspaw was sacrificed by Alter, by Cruel Firebloom, I guess by Betray could even do it as well, you draw 2 cards instead. So that's insane value. Even if it was just last gasp draw a card, it would be a slightly worse Varanus Courier. But with this second piece of the effect, this card is nuts. Alter can go crazy with this card. This is going to be such a fun card for a lot of decks. Super excited to see this one in action. Then we've got Ghostgate Defender, a 1-cost 1/3 with guard, and then Exalt 3, deal 2 damage to a creature. So I don't think this card's that good. A 1-cost 1/3 with guard is eh. We've got the 1-cost 1/3 with guard that shackles enemies in agility already. But it shows the Exalt mechanic being paying for flexibility. A lot of the other cards we saw, you pay, you get more flexibility, but there's not always a downside. Like Vivek, there's no downside. Almalexia, there's no downside. But Ghostgate Defender, paying 3 costs just to deal 2 damage is pretty expensive. But you're getting the optional cost attached to the body, so it's like, how desperate are you for that 2 damage? And if you're willing to pay it, I guess it could be worthwhile at that moment. So it's a flexible card. It might be decent in Arena. I don't think it'll see a ton of play normally. We've got Duke Vedam Dren, a 5-cost 4/4 Dark Elf, which this card might be the most powerful card we've seen so far, with the exception of the gods. The first time you play a card each turn, draw a random card from your deck with cost equal to your remaining Magicka. So, if this guy's on the board and I start a turn fresh at turn 12, and I summon a 2-cost creature, I'm getting a 10-cost card from my deck. So, with skillful play and I guess some solid deck building as well as a little bit of luck, you can almost ensure what you're pulling from your deck with this card. It's kind of like, I compare it to an Alter on a body. It's not truly like Alter though, since it's your remaining Magicka, but this effect is incredibly powerful, and I think you'll see on a core level the effect is good. But if you put this card in the hands of a skilled deck builder, or even more importantly, a skilled player, this card can be completely bonkers. So if you give this card to like CVH or Justin or some of the other tournament players, I'm not as involved in the tournament scene, but I know there's a lot of really quality tournament players who don't really get as much publicity for the game. If you give this card to one of those guys, they can do crazy things with this card. So I think it might be one of the most powerful cards revealed so far. And then I think this is the last one for now. We have a unique legendary Dwemer, Yagrum Bagarn, 3-cost 2/4, and with a summon effect, draw a Dwemer from your discard pile and give it +2/+2. So it doesn't say draw a random Dwemer, so I think again you get to choose. So depending on what Dwemer you really want back, it's kind of a way to recycle your Dwemer. 3-cost 2/4 isn't the worst anyway, and you get to buff something from your discard pile and take it back. So more neutral synergy, more Dwemer synergy is always cool. I don't think this card is crazy broken or anything. I think it's just another solid early game drop, which Dwemer needs some more like bodies that can fight for the board early on. Usually they have lower attack, which this guy does. He survives decently well for a 3-drop, and you get the effect, which can pull back like a Dwarven Dynamo or something for you and help you keep fighting in the early game. Maybe if you drew slow or you held on to some of your Halls of the Dwemer and you need to get more value out of, let's say, a Dwarven Spider you're trying to use to slow down your opponent, this card can help you stay alive even more. So it's a solid card. I think it's very appropriate and very good. But that's going to be it for now, guys. As more cards are revealed, I'll probably do another 1 or 2 of these before the set releases. I don't know how many more reveals are happening, so who knows, but I'm super excited. Unfortunately, we are delayed a week, but we're also delayed a week, and we're getting puzzle sets, so I'm more than okay with that. It's going to be super cool. Let me know what you guys think of the cards so far. Let me know what your favorite card is, what plans you have for any of these cards, and what you think of the puzzle sets. Super excited to talk to some of you guys about this. But yeah, that's going to be it for now. Thank you all very much for watching. I'm DragonTamerBlayde, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.